Hi, my name is Jenny Pop, and I'm the Associate Dean in the Honors College, and I'm here to explain to you a little bit about the types of Honors College research grants we have and how you can apply. So outside of this presentation, how are you going to learn more about these research grants? Well, introducing our new SharePoint site, honorshub.uark.edu. From there, you click on the research bar and select research grants from the drop-down, and it'll give you all sorts of information about the 4 types of grants that we have in the Honors College. Now, before we go into those different grants, let's talk a little bit about who's eligible to apply. Well, in order to apply, you need to meet criteria related to GPA, honors hours, and your conduct. For GPA, depending on your major, you must have a cumulative GPA of 3.5 or 3.33. Now, whatever your cumulative GPA requirement is, you must have it at the time you apply, when we tell you that you've been awarded, and when you actually conduct the research grant experience. Now, if you don't maintain that GPA that's required, you'll lose your funds before you do your experience. So please keep that GPA up. You also must have completed 6 honors hours on the U of A campus, not transferred in from anywhere else, but by the time you apply, have completed at least 6 honors hours here. And finally, we expect all honors students to follow all conduct requirements for the university. Now, we have 4 different types of research grants. I'm going to go through the first 3 really quickly and focus on the Honors College Research Grant. You can download the research grant cheat sheet on the main page of our research grant site, which summarizes a lot of what I'm saying here. The first type of grant we have is a conference workshop travel grant. You can apply for these grants throughout the year. There's no set deadline. We give you these grants to make a presentation, present a poster, or be part of a panel at a professional conference. You can earn up to $1,000 for domestic travel, $1,500 for international travel. You must, if you're going internationally, follow all of the requirements of the Office of Study Abroad. There's different parts of these grants proposals that you need to complete for us. I'm going to barely touch on them here because I'm going to go through them in a lot more detail once we get to the 4th type of grant. You need to give us some research significance information, your conference and travel information, information about your mentor, information about your department head. And I'll tell you now, the reason we need the department head information is if we fund you to travel, we need to let them know. In the case of a conference grant, you need to share with us the abstract that was accepted that is allowing you to present at that conference. You'll give us a budget, a transcript, a resume, and an essay. And when you're ready to apply, you go to the bottom of the Conference Workshop Travel Grant page on SharePoint and hit the application details button. The second type of grant we have is a short-term research travel grant. This too is available throughout the year, and we will fund you to travel up to 20 days across the country or abroad to conduct research. We provide up to $1,500 for domestic travel and $3,000 for international travel. Again, follow those requirements of the Office of Study Abroad and provide for us, again, a resume, transcript, daily itinerary, research significance, an essay, mentor information, and departmental information. Now here, we've also introduced something called research compliance. And oftentimes when you conduct research, you need to follow certain federal guidelines. The most 3 common types of guidelines are animal care and use, or IACUC, biological safety, or IBC, and human subjects research, or IRB. If you're not sure whether or not your research requires this compliance, talk to your mentor and they can let you know. When you're ready to apply for a short-term research travel grant, click on the short-term research travel grant application at the bottom of that SharePoint page. The third type is the extended research travel grant. Like the short-term grant, it allows you to travel to conduct research, but now we're funding you from anywhere from 21 to 56 days and are offering up to $3,000 domestically and up to $6,000 internationally. Because this travel takes place in summer, we have one deadline, March 1st. Now, these applications can vary dramatically depending on where you're going and what you're doing. So before you apply, please schedule an appointment with me to walk through some of the important considerations. Last but not least is our Honors College Research Grant. This is the most common of all of our grants, and it's designed to support your research project, whether that's a scholastic thesis, a creative thesis, or an experiential one. The grant provides $1,250 per semester for up to 2 semesters to a student and a flat $1,000 to your mentor. Now, before we go any further in this, I want to bring up the Student Undergraduate Research Fund fellowship that's otherwise known as SURF. And SURF is offered by the state of Arkansas, and the process for applying from SURF is managed by the Office of Nationally Competitive Awards here on campus. Now, there's lots of similarities between these two awards, but there's also differences, and it's really important to understand where those differences exist. The purpose is the same, to support you in your research. The funding's slightly different. As we said, the Honors College grant is $2,500 per student and $1,000 per mentor. SURF also provides up to $2,500 per student. It only provides $750 directly to the mentor, but the Honors College will provide the mentor an additional $250 if you get a SURF. And while travel funds are separate in a different call for the Honors College, SURF will give you up to $750 of travel during that grant period. Now, when you apply for them is also different. Honors College grants are available for application in fall, spring, and summer. SURF, you can only apply for in the fall. And how you apply is super, super important. When you're applying for the Honors College Research Grant in the spring and summer, you will apply directly through the Honors College, following all the instructions on the Honors College SharePoint site. However, if you are applying for the fall and you don't want to be considered for SURF and you only want to be considered for the Honors College Research Grant, you must still apply through the SURF application process. Don't worry, the Office of Nationally Competitive Award will route your application directly to us. They will not send it to SURF. However, if you don't apply through them, you cannot be considered. Any application that comes directly through the Honors College application portal will not be considered. So follow all of the requirements and all of the guidelines presented by the Office of Nationally Competitive Awards for the SURF call in the fall, regardless of whether you want SURF or only Honors College. If you have questions, shoot me an email or give me a call. Now, both types of grants, the SURF and the Honors College Research Grant, have similar important sections. Now, specifics on the budget and the transcript are different between Honors College and SURF also requires a cover page. But a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about here are the same across both types of grants. But again, reminder to check the SURF site for all of the SURF guidelines. What's presented here are the Honors College Research Grant guidelines. Let's start with your mentor's resume. It can be 2 pages maximum. It should include their name, their department, and their institution, and a brief statement on their research interests. Let us see a list of recent publications. Give us a list of undergraduate advisees and their projects that they directed in the last 5 years. And they can include other relevant information as space allows. Now, most mentors, their CVs are 20 to 40 pages long. It can take a little bit of time for them to summarize that and update it and get it down to 2 pages. So be sure to contact them early, at least a month ahead of time, so that they have time to do this for you. Student resumes also should only be 2 pages. And remember, you're not applying for a job, you're applying for a research grant. So the emphasis on this resume must be academics. Begin with your education and tell us things about your GPA, your degree plan, the number of honors hours and total hours, and your class standing. And for Honors College, it's really important that you mention that you're a member of the Honors College in this education section. If you've already begun your research, tell us about your lab experience or your archive experience or whatever else you've been doing for your research. Tell us if you've done presentations and posters related to this. If you have not begun your research, it's okay. You can skip this part of the resume. But continue to tell us good things on academics. What kind of honors and awards have you received? Have you gotten scholarships? Did you get other kind of grant funding or honors? Are you on the dean's list or the chancellor's list? And then tell us other relevant experience. Do you have leadership experience on campus or elsewhere? Have you participated in community service? Do you hold a job? What kind of significant hobbies do you have? Now, in the Honors College, we're often asked about what information should be on that resume. Should you include high school information? Well, for freshmen, that's okay. But when you're sitting in a proposal for a research grant, you're a sophomore or higher. So in those cases, we only expect to see college experiences on your resume. Now let's go through a little bit about that statement of significance of your research that we've talked about across all of the grants. This is where you tell us in really short, concise way why your research matters. 3-sentence maximum. Use language that a general audience can understand and talk about things in the big picture. You don't have time to go into a lot of detail. The next section is your project summary. This is 1-page maximum, single or double spaced, and it's super duper important. The first paragraph should convey the scope of your project and why this project matters. Be sure that it's comprehensible to the general campus community. This is what gets the reviewers interested in your proposal and has them want to read more. The next section is your research proposal description, and this is really the heart and soul of the proposal. It's 5 pages maximum, and it tells us why your activity has value to your field. By the way you describe it, we understand that it's sufficiently difficult to challenge you and that it's providing you different skills. Now, we don't require a specific format on how you write it, but I strongly encourage you to consider the format that I've listed here, regardless of what major you're in. This is typically what's found in the STEM majors, but I assure you, being a faculty member of the social sciences, that this type of format works for my discipline and many others as well. Begin with an introduction. Tell us the purpose and justification for what you're doing. Everybody needs to be able to do that. Your next section is often a background. This tells us the important things that you have learned that have led up to your project. And this information should be cited with peer-reviewed literature from your discipline. The next step is methods. Maybe you're not working in a lab, but you are going to have different steps that you need to go through to go about whatever you are researching or creating. Tell us about that. And then finally, what are your expected results? What do you expect to find or accomplish with this project? Within those 5 pages, you also have to make space for a timeline. This is a detailed monthly timeline for the project, beginning with the period of the grant. Okay, so for example, if you're applying in the fall, that means that your grant would start in the spring. So your timeline should also start in the spring, regardless if you've done some work on the project already in the fall. We talked a little bit about references already, but what we've learned is that good proposals include at least 5 peer-reviewed references. You want to cite every source you reference in your proposal. We don't care what style guidelines you use. Talk to your mentor and use the ones preferred by your discipline. And if you need some help in learning how to use those different style guidelines, think about attending an Honors College citation workshop. Look on HogSync for their availability. The next section is the project budget. And again, if you're applying in the fall, even if it's just for an Honors College grant, follow the SURF guidelines. They are very, very different. But if you're applying in spring and summer, these are the guidelines we expect you to use for an Honors College grant. First thing you want to do is talk to your mentor to determine whether any portion of your stipend will be used for research costs. For example, sometimes students have to pay people to participate in a survey or an experiment. In most cases, though, the research costs are typically covered by the mentor. but you and your mentor need to agree upon how your funds will be used and sign a form to support that. After that, you and your mentor will need to print and fill out the Honors College Research Grant Budget Form. This form is on our grants SharePoint site, and you will upload your final document with your other application materials. We also need a current transcript. And again, this is where we're different from SURF. SURF requires an official transcript. Honors College for spring and summer applications, you can use an unofficial one, download it from UA Connect, put it into a Word document, and upload it once you've highlighted your honors coursework. If you're applying in the fall, SURF doesn't like that highlight, so don't highlight on your official transcript. For the Honors College grant, you need 2 letters of recommendation, one from your lead research mentor and one from somebody else who can speak to your ability to complete your work. Let them know that they'll get emails from us that gives instructions on how to submit their letters of recommendation. Here's some tips about these. Request your letters only from U of A faculty members. We don't want to hear from your soccer coach, not from your academic advisor, not from your part-time job supervisor. We want to hear from tenure track and non-tenure track faculty members, instructors, clinical, research faculty at U of A who are qualified to speak to your ability to conduct research. Again, give them lots of warning that you're going to do this. They may not get notification to submit, but they can start on that letter early. Here's another difference between SURF and the Honors College. All of the SURF application materials are due at the same time. But for the Honors College, we give the faculty members a few extra days to submit their letters of recommendation. So for example, in the spring, the student application deadline for us is March 15th. So the letters from the faculty recommenders are not due until March 20th. Have the faculty members go to our SharePoint site to get the guidelines on what's needed in those letters. Beginning this year, the Honors College has moved to a new platform in order to take your applications. It's called InfoReady. And the Office of Nationally Competitive Awards is working with us to actually use it this fall as well for the SURF grants. The Office of Nationally Competitive Awards will be showing students how to do this for the fall. And beginning in early spring, the Honors College will train students to use InfoReady before our March 15th deadline for the spring grants call. COVID, well, this year has brought some interesting changes for all of us. And we understand that social distancing protocols may require changes to your research plan. Maybe you can't get into the lab or not in there as much as you like, or maybe you can't travel to that big city to work in a library archive. We understand that these things happen. First and foremost, don't panic. Talk to your mentor in your honors program office to develop a backup plan for what you can do to complete your research or your project requirements, and talk to the Honors College to see if that backup plan still qualifies for funding. And that's all I have to tell you in this brief presentation surrounding research grants. I know that that's a lot of information, so I strongly encourage you to go to the honorshub.uark.edu, click on research and select research grants, and you can go down to the bottom of that page and click on all of this information about all the different types of grants we have. And reach out to me, Dr. Jenny Pop, jhpop@uark.edu. Call my office phone at 575-7381, and I'm happy to answer your questions. Our goal is to help give you the funding you need to support the great work you're doing as an honors student. So reach out, and in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day.